And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Everybody who's traded has gone through periods of time where their strategy hasn't worked.
Where if not a hard stop, you should reevaluate the trades you're in based on time.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Coach's Playbook. The recycling truck is right in front of my house. Hopefully that does not make too much noise. I'm Jack Pelzer, joined by Dan Hodgman, Mick Aronimo, and John Hoagland. It's Tuesday, December 6th. We're closing out the year right. Today, we're going to talk about the dark side of leverage, how leverage is marketed in trading in general, and a few other tidbits. But first, I understand one of you, I'm not sure which, has a trader shout out today. You guys were battling to see who had the best one.
Oh, we can do two. I'm going to go first.
I don't have it up.
Miguel Rodriguez, big shout out to him, up $5,300 today. It's a nice day. Anytime you can put up four figures in the $5,000 range, that's pretty nice.
That is a really nice day right there. So congratulations, Miguel. So on to, I guess not a more unsavory topic, but we wanted to talk the dark side of leverage today. And I think one thing that I've noticed in the entire retail trading space is that leverage itself is sort of marketed as a good thing, a good attribute, right? A lot of times in FX, you'll see 250 times leverage, 500 times leverage. Now, futures, which we are all trading here, are also a leverage product, right? You're trading more than you have, but the leverage on futures, I mean, if you go off the, the overnight margin for the ES, I think is usually around like 6%. So you're talking more in the range of 15 to 20 times leverage that way. And even if you go to the day trading margin and stuff, you're maybe talking about close to 100 times, but the 250 times and 500 times is ridiculous. Dan, you can start us off today. What do you see? Because it's a real easy way. It's almost advertising a way for you to almost certainly blow up your account.
Yeah, I mean, number one, I don't know if anyone out there has ever had a margin phone call, but I can promise you don't want to hear that phone call. So if you're over leveraging and you're getting into these trades and you're putting some size on, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should have access to. I think really what it comes down to for me is we saw it a couple of years back. I'm going to go back to this, Jack. I think we just talked about it on the podcast.
Sure.
In the futures industry, you can lose more than you have. We saw it back in 2020 when crude oil went negative. People were losing more money than they actually had in their account. This is not like buying a stock where if it goes to zero, it's done. You can really hurt yourself pretty extremely. So what it comes down to is just because you can do something, really you shouldn't. I would always say, making sure, my big rule of thumb is $5,000+ per single contract that you're trading. In all honesty, to me, it's like if I'm going to trade a one lot, I want 10 grand of accessible cash, not I have room to lose 5,000 or anything. I want accessible cash of $10,000 before I move from one contract to two contract. I got to continue to grow those accounts, take my time and get there slowly. I witness it way too often. I mean, I'm going to use an example today. When I talk about this, we talk about over leveraging because it means a lot more than just how much you have access to, right? In the trading combine, in our funded level accounts, I watched two traders today that were up a few $1,000s this morning coming in. In a blink of an eye, they put 3 contracts on and the market goes against and they go from being up money to almost losing their accounts today. That is where the bigger problems come in. I get it. There's the desire to, generate quick, fast profits. But you're always going to be able to do that, even with one contract, faster than you're going to generate profits anywhere else in any other career. When you're over leveraging and you're sizing up before you should, you're also going to bury yourself in this industry very quickly. So you've got to be conscious about that. So that to me is the biggest thing. It's about the size you're trading and how much cash you have accessible.
Good points there. Yeah, that $10,000 rule is a good one because it's sort of, that's how it lines up with our size accounts at Topstep, where we have a 50K, 100K, and 150K in which you can trade 5, 10, or 15 contracts. That's sort of where the idea of the size of the account comes from. Basically, if you are, it's shooting the moon too much. If you look at the people out there who are have been super successful in something, it's usually not. I'm not aware of many billionaires who it's like they started with $1,000 and used 500 times leverage and just shot the moon somehow like that, right? I think the reason why people will offer you insane leverage is usually because the math works out such that you're bound to lose that account. If you have $1,000 in an account where you're trying to use 500 times leverage, the math is such that you are just donating that money to the market like a very expensive lotto ticket, right? It would be incredibly rare. It's just not realistic risk management, right? You got to be able to take some heat at whatever size account you have. And I think that there is very rarely do we see people who are under leveraged, and that's their issue. Mick?
Yeah, this is a topic I feel pretty strongly about. I mean, people come to the futures markets, they come to the Forex markets for that leverage. You get the ability to, purchase a large amount of stuff without having to put that much money up. Many times people think that, is saving them from risk. It's one way to look at it, but it's not really the case. It's allowing you to assume more risk in many cases than you can handle. I'm going to come right out and say, like, I see over trading and probably more so leverage being the one thing that puts people out of funded accounts sooner rather than later. If you are over leveraging and you are trading more than you probably should be, it's going to put your back up against the wall relatively quickly. Danny mentioned the $5,000 per contract. That's fine. I mean, in a perfect world, you'd be, trading even a much larger account size to, even just do one contract too. I do think, there's a lot of people that come to this business with the hopes of making a bunch of money. There's a lot of people out there selling strategies, do what we do, trade big leverage. You're going to make $1 million, and, maybe, but are you going to keep it? Probably not. And, I think that's what you need to be thinking about the longer you can stay in this game and trade within your means, live within your means, trade within your means. If you're extending yourself beyond your means, you're going to find yourself in a bad position with creditors. You're going to find yourself in a bad position with your prop firm, your clearing firm, your own personal account, family situations. I do believe that leverage and trading larger size is, how people do make larger money in this business. But the people that are doing that are consistently profitable, and they're starting small, and as they're consistently profitable, they can say, hey, I'm going to do the same thing, but it's going to be 2 contracts now and not 3 contracts. Or, I'm going from, maybe at my biggest, time, I'll have a 20 lot on or something like that. Yeah, but you can't start there. And if you try and start there, one bad flush in the market. I mean, look at us with the equities today, falling off the shelf, and it's moving fast. And if you are over leveraged, like I said, back against the wall, you're going to be in big trouble. You're going to put yourself out of business.
Yeah.
It's never good having your back against the wall. I've put my back against the wall on a couple of occasions early on in trading, and it was the over leverage. And you never be more panicked. I don't want to take it away from John if he may say it, but I always like John quotes his father. I quote John's father. Never had enough on when it goes in your favor, and always too much on when it goes against you. You've got to trade to survive another day, another week, another month, and years. There's a lot of people that have been doing this in this industry for a while, and they don't look at, even 1 year performance. They split things up over, a window of 5 years. This last 5 years was, favorable or unfavorable. If unfavorable, I need to move on.
Yeah.
Getting rich quick is something that can certainly happen, but you probably won't keep that wealth if you're over leveraged.
Look, it happens to everyone. I want to give a few numbers before I send it over to Hogue for some wisdom here.
Yeah, could I share
yeah.
one more thought?
Please.
For me personally, trading smaller than I can puts me in such a better frame of mind, and I can think with a lot more clarity and make better decisions. When you are under pressure, under stress, you're gonna slip up at one point or time. And in this business, it's gonna cost you money because you're assuming risk. So that's my kind of take on it.
Yeah, it becomes gambling. And we've seen recently with the FTX thing, it was, regardless of what he says, it's leverage that killed them there. But here's an example. All right. Lehman Brothers claims to have been leveraged at 30-1, but there are people, David Einhorn believes that the leverage of Lehman was 44-1 when it collapsed. Okay. Leverage of 44-1 is the equivalent of you trading a single ES future with about $4,500 to $5,000 in your account. So just think about that through a frame of mind, right? If you have a $5,000 account, just putting on a single ES future, you are as levered as Lehman Brothers was before it collapsed. Now, we're individuals. It's not a perfect metaphor, but before you start reaching further than that, just think about that for a second. Hogue?
Well, there have been so many great comments already. First off, do new traders, new retail traders, new Forex traders, futures traders, do they even understand what leverage is? The thing that I do at the beginning of Make Hogue Money is I tell everybody, this is risky. You do run the risk of losing more than your initial investment. So, what Dan was saying, it's not like buying a stock and having it go to zero and that's all you can lose. You can lose much more than that. It's something that it does take a little bit of time to get your head wrapped around. And I've seen a lot of new traders like back in the day come on the trading floor with their shiny new badge. They've never worked on the floor. Family's got some money, so the kid says, I want to go down and trade. So they buy him a seat or they lease him a seat and they put him on the trading floor and he starts trading them up. And if he's lucky, he's probably going to have some success at the very beginning. I've seen a lot of them just tank right away and then that's it. They're gone. But like Mick says, if you do get lucky on your first experience in leveraged opportunities, odds are you're going to think that that's the way it's going to go all the time and you're not going to be able to maintain it. Another thing that Mick said that really stuck out to me was you got to trade smaller than you can because it's going to make it easier for you to make some hard decisions in your trading. Okay. If you're always up against the wall, and you're always, leveraging everything you have in the account, you're gonna be pretty highly stressed, right? It's the traders that trade smaller than they can, that know that they're going to be able to be here tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year, that have much easier times of maintaining in their strategy, staying inside their strategy. I remember. Well, like Mick said, my dad was like, the market's going your way, you'll never have enough on. If it's going against you, you'll always have too many on. And it's true whether you're trading 1 or 100. But the first time I was standing in the pit, I was a 1-lot trader and I got hit on a 5-lot and I had to take it because the broker turned away. I had never experienced so much abject fear in my life. And these were big S&Ps, and it's only a 5-lot. It's not like it was going to make or break me, but just the fact of having that much risk on just completely took me out of any realm of possibility of making a good trading choice. So when you understand how great leverage can be when it's going your way, yes, but how bad and nasty it can be. One last thing. we had a couple that were a part of Topstep, and we had an in-person like education day. This was years ago, and they sat in the front row and they listened to everybody, and then we had a meetup afterwards, and they kind of seeked me out in the kind of a cocktail party thing. And they're like, we wish we would have come to Topstep a long time ago. I said, well, why? Tell me about your experience. And they were making some money, and they had a bunch of money, and they wanted to do something with it. So they put $100,000 into a futures account. They completely maxed out, as far as margin is concerned, a position in some product, and they shut down the platform and didn't look at it for 2 weeks. They opened the platform 2 weeks later, and they had made $400,000 on a $100,000 investment. They just got lucky. They thought, wow, that's great. Let's get out of this. Doink. They're flat. What do we do now? Well, I don't know. Let's look for something else. They look for something else. They max out as far as the leverage is concerned on that position. And within a week, the phone's ringing. Hello. Yeah, this is your clearing firm. You're down in your account now. We need you to wire us some money.
Yeah.
And that's a $500,000 swing there. They didn't understand how dangerous that kind of leverage can be. You hear the stories about the grain guys in the early 70s and, making all this money, but they had been there for years. They understood the amount of leverage that they were taking on. They understood the risks if things didn't go their way. And they also understood the possible profit opportunities. I mean, there were some amazing stories from back in those days, but man, you better be prepared for the other side if things don't go your way.
You hit on exactly what I was going to say next there, Hogue, which is that there usually doesn't come to Jesus moment where you just decide now you're going to trade responsible leverage. So if you start out with some absurd amount of leverage and you get lucky and you make money, the natural inclination among the vast majority of traders is going to be like, okay, I'm going to size up now. You've already won at that point. You should be trading the same amount that you had earlier at a lower leverage or less.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you are pushing the max of your leverage, it is certainty, come the point where you get wiped out, because that's the nature of it. There's just no other way for it to go. There's no perfect, you can't see the future. If you're riding the lightning, you're going to get burnt at some point. So just think about.
Even if you're right 70% of the time, the 30% that you're going to get whacked is going to be nasty.
Riding the lightning.
Yes.
Yeah, really. I've seen people that ride the lightning before. And listen, I've seen people who have made it work to some extent because it wasn't their money, so to speak. If you're working for a prop shop or something that for whatever reason is going to give you absurd limits, there was a lot of people out there that were doing the old, the worst they can do is fire me. It's not my money. I've seen that too. I don't recommend that either, because you're got to be ready for a change of careers at that point. But certainly if you're trading your own retail account, you can't max your leverage on everything. I felt sick to my stomach, Hogue, when you're telling that story about those people.
Oh, I know. I broke my heart. I was like, just walk away at that point. I mean, you won.
I will say I've thought for a long period of time now, one of the worst things that could happen to you in this business is finding immediate success, whether it's one trade where you're turning 100,000 into 400 something thousand, or, a very good year. I think, and some people can do that and never look back if they're managing themselves and their strategies in a very smart way. But my struggles early on helped me later on. So that's kind of a personal story there. And I think that's the case for a lot of people.
Well, and that couple did end up figuring out, wow, there's a lot more to this than we thought. Maybe we should educate ourselves. And that's when they came to Topstep.
Nice. And I'm sure that's happening in droves right now. I think that with the huge influx of retail traders in 2020, most of them were finding immediate success. One of the few periods in sort of the history of the markets where the little guy was really outperforming the hedge funds and everything else because it was buy.
Mhm.
We're still a long way from sorting out because we don't know where the bottom of any of this is or what next, but I'm sure there's been just incredible financial carnage there, especially with the options and other things that people are trading. And I wonder if a lot of that is influenced by having early success. So watch out. If you start out hot, that's good.
It can always get taken away from you. So
Everything can always get taken away from you. And I guess, sorry if this is a pessimistic coach's playbook here, but I feel like every 2 months we got to come back here and talk about over leverage being it's just a reminder, it's like, go ahead.
sorry, Jack, finish your train of thought.
No, I was going to make an awkward metaphor about it's like, like the nuns whapping you with a ruler on the wrist or something like that.
I like the topic. It is, it's something that needs to be discussed, and not a lot of people out there, enough people discuss it out there, especially when I was bringing up, these marketeers who, say that you're going to make X amount of money doing this, follow our strategy, join up for this. And you hear the positive success stories, which might be very short-lived. There's in business, you are going to learn more from someone, whether it's trading or elsewhere. You're going to learn more from someone who's been doing it a while and has failed and learned from their mistakes. This trading and over leveraging is no different. You're going to learn a lot more from someone who's struggled and came out the other side than someone who's found instant quick success over a short period of time. I think it comes back to get them eventually. Yeah, and again, I'm passionate about it because I see it's been a common theme. If you come out of the gates and start trading as big as you can, you are really flirting that line with losing more than you should be losing in your account on a given trading day, or giving yourself a very short stay in one of the live accounts. You're on mute, Jack.
Yeah, I've had my microphone keeps on like slipping down the stand here, so I've been muting and doing that. That's
Did
a
the
little
garbage
inside.
truck come down the alley? Is that what it was?
It did, but it was much quieter than usual. I don't know if it's one of those electric garbage trucks or something like that, the Oak Park thing.
At least they didn't back down the alley, because then it's beep, beep, beep.
Oh yeah, that's always a delightful sound over there.
Speaking of garbage, Dan and I were actually out in the mountains of North Carolina, for all you viewers out there. And I think I'm going to shoot down after this to go get some lunch down the mountain, but I've got to drag some garbage with me to go to the disposal area. They don't run the trucks up here on these roads.
That's fun. Your internet looks pretty good. So you guys both in the same house right now?
Yeah. I'm sitting
One
at
of
the
our
kitchen.
internet looks good. That's why I've been relatively quiet. I keep freezing up over here.
It's odd. We've got the fiber cable coming up to the house. I just got it ran out here, so I'm not having any issues.
Well, we'll get you an extra router at some point. But any final words from anyone here about this, or do we want to wrap it up right now?
Yeah, I have one final word.
Do it.
I'd like an invite out to the Asheville area one of these days.
Please, I like good company.
Nice. Well, we'll all meet you down there and help you carry the garbage. That's all for this week on
There you go.
Coach's Playbook, where you learn a little bit about waste disposal, a little bit about leverage, and hopefully something that'll make you a better trader in person, or maybe not, but we try our best. So we'll be back next week. In the meantime, trade well, stay safe, and we'll see you then.